Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my Homes and Cooking newsletter. I believe it's going to be for the month of May. Can you believe it's May already? Anyway, there is a lot of real estate news this week. And it's real estate news is like a spinning fan that's on high. Bzzoop, bzzoop. And then the next day it goes backwards. So what I do is I do a lot of research online. I really think the news is like watching a fairy tale, so don't do that so much. But I have colleagues all over the country now that watching their YouTube videos, then we go and we do chats back and forth. And between that and blogs, you sort of get the real scoop of what's going on in the real estate profession world. They've been very helpful, and some of the states already have this binding buyer-broker agreement that NAR is going to mandate that all agents do. And in California, some people have. We don't have it. It's not yet being binding and exclusive. And it's basically going to say that the buyer is no longer needs or is required. Not that they were, it was always negotiable that they were required to to pay a buyer's agent a commission. Though without a buyer, there's no transaction. So everything was sort of rolling around just fine. And supposedly, according to some of my colleagues, these TV shows that I won't even mention their names if you've watched them, that sell multi-million dollar homes, and they always flash commission for $28 million homes is I'm making this up, $890,000. Well, I guarantee you, and I don't work with them, we don't have those kind of listings, we could, that those commissions have been negotiated down. There's no way. But anyway, that's aside from that. I won't even talk about how this lawsuit came about. That'll be a whole nother video. But that there is this buyer-broker agreement coming down the pike. So the interesting thing is the Department of Justice has again gotten involved. Don't understand it. They don't sell houses. It's like, what do they know about real estate? Honest to gosh. Anyway, that they're evaluating what the finality of this lawsuit brought and what it's going to be doing, blah, blah, blah. And they might be extending the timeline on all this until the end of the year. They might not. It's allegedly, there's news from all over the country. So we'll see what happens. But the one good news is that evidently Freddie and Fannie, who are the two organizations, or whatever you want to call them, that guarantee, why is there a line here? Oh well, hopefully it doesn't show up on your end. That guarantee the mortgages, the lenders make the loans and then they sell them to Fannie and Freddie. We all have heard Fannie and Freddie, but supposedly they've okayed that there can be seller concessions given at the close of escrow on their closing papers, their closing statements, which is pretty much how the commissions were done now. And so now it's concessions are also allowed. What we don't know is if the concession is on the loan amount, the sale amount, if it's 1%, 2%, 180,000%, I'm kidding. I'm being funny. So that's, again, up in the air. So all of this news is like a giant box in a game show that you have to open up and the prizes come flying out. But right now they're to be determined. So that was like two interesting points. Now, the latest thing is what Zillow has come up with. Zillow, as we all know, is a marketing machine. So they have come up with this buyer touring agreement. And I thought at first, because you know that Zillow has agents that pay tons of money to them to get leads, and how this works, I'm not totally sure. If they get, it doesn't matter how the lead program works. But anyway, it's not going to be just for Zillow agents. It's going to be available for agents all over the country. And the rationale, and it makes a little bit of sense, except that literally this agreement you could write on a napkin in a coffee shop and say, here you go. Here is a touring agreement between you and I. I'm an agent. You might want to buy a house. Come on down and get in my car. But what they're saying is that, say that a buyer sees your name or an agent's name. Let's go Agent Joe. Sees Agent Joe's name on his website or on Google, somewhere. Calls up Agent Joe and says, listen, this is buyer Sam, and I saw your picture on Google. You look like a good guy. So we would like to see 123 Main Street this afternoon. Oh, we know it's for sale, obviously. So could you let us in and make an appointment, let us in, and let me know if that's fine. So Agent Sam has that decision to make. He doesn't know this person. He doesn't know if they're even approved or have the cash or the means to buy a house. But what the heck, let's give it a try. I like to meet people beforehand just to see if we like each other, to see if they're approved, to see what their needs are. But trust me, we've all done this. I've done this. And if you're an agent, you've done this. Unless you have an assistant, somebody's done this. It's called, we're door openers to a certain extent at this point. So what Zillow is saying is like that at this juncture, they can say, by the way, we have a touring agreement and it's only for 7 days. As a buyer, you're not responsible. There's no agency involved, which is what you would have with a buyer's broker agreement. It's just going to say that you're not working with anybody else, you haven't signed anything with anybody else, and that we're going to see this house, other houses, whatever. And if that works, you meet the person at the house, you let them in, and they sign this agreement. Usually, if somebody calls me and I don't know them, I make my husband go with me. He's licensed, he's not active, but he's licensed, and that way I'm not going to wind up in the trunk of somebody's car. It's a strange world out there. So there's no way, according to Zillow, that an agent that doesn't know this buyer is going to go, and by the way, when I meet you, you have to sign a buyer broker agreement, and they spell out what the agreement is. And the word different ways to pay commission has to be disclosed. And meanwhile, buyer Joe is on the other line going, I don't know you. I have no idea who you are. All I did was see your photo on a website or on Google. You seem like you knew the area, I called you. I'm not signing that. So at that time, Agent Sam goes, well, okay, so I have option number 2, which is the 7-day buyer touring agreement, and no obligation, blah, blah, blah. He hasn't mentioned the buyer broker agreement because there's a possibility that the guy's going to laugh at him. They don't know each other. So that's where Zillow came up with this ingenious idea, though I promise you can write it on a cocktail napkin and it's going to have the same validity. But let's see, I'm going to make sure I haven't missed anything about this. It's sort of like having a blind date with real estate. You know, you're meeting somebody, you don't know them, you're going to see if you get along. And if after 7 days or after 3 days or whatever, you have some sort of a bond and you feel like, okay, maybe we can be committed. And then at that point, bring up the buyer broker agreement. or wait until the 7 days and see if you're going to get engaged. And at this point, if you're getting along that well, hey, we're going to plan the wedding. And we start looking for a house with a buyer broker agreement, especially if it's July, because it's going to be, as of now, mandated. I don't know, call DOJ, see what they're doing this week. So that is the story. Zillow is a marketing machine. You got to give it to them. And it's like, I don't care how you say my name. Don't care what you say about my name. Just keep saying my name. Zillow touring agreement. Anyway, sorry to try and make this lighthearted, because in this day and age, if we don't, we're all going to be like really depressed. So Gloria Gillette, Coldwell Banker Del Mar, and homesandcooking.com is my website that has the cooking shows recipes. So if you have any questions about real estate or cooking, just give me a call. My phone number is all over the internet, and I have great Yelp reviews. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk soon. Beeping you off. Beep.